Ryan and Shine, podcast brought you by Blue Rhine Industries.
So welcome back to Rhine and Shine. We took a short pause for a while, but we're back with two incredible guests to discuss the future of smart wayfinding. And I'm joined by Fariz from Endpoint and Farah from iPera.
Hi.
Hi. Perhaps you can both give an introduction to what you guys do.
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you so much for having us. So my name is Farah Bortkani, and I am the sales director at iPera. So at iPera, we do all sorts of location-based services, from heat maps to wayfinding, asset tracking, and a lot more.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I'm glad to be back in the podcast with you both. It's been a while, but it's a topic that I'm really excited. My name is Fariz Ahmad, and I'm the Senior Director at Endpoint. We specialize in wayfinding design, and part of which is to look into the overall experience of the user in all wayfinding touchpoints.
Excellent. So I'm very excited to have you both here and to discuss the future of smart wayfinding, smart navigation. So perhaps we start with that, because I think there's a lot of ambiguity, like what is smart wayfinding?
Yeah. There's a lot of, I think, confusion about wayfinding and navigation. I know this is a little bit more your domain, and people use them a little bit interchangeably, but they're not interchangeable. So navigation is part of wayfinding. Wayfinding is not part of navigation.
Okay.
I'll let Fariz explain a little bit more about
this. It
this.
is confusing. We see it in especially tenders that come through
All
or
the time.
Scope of work, where it starts off being navigation and the team's a bit confused and you read the scope and it's like, well, it's actually wayfinding with digital elements maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's really interesting, because the way the industry is defining wayfinding now beyond the traditional static signs is just by including the word smart. But what does smart really mean? Is it smart for the user? Is it smart for the developer? So what we think is in the overall experience of the user, that is the primary reason or the objective why we want to actually deliver a smart wayfinding solution. So most of the projects that we work on, we don't just approach wayfinding in a very traditional way, where we look at the static signs and that's where it tells you to turn left and turn right. The way we look at it now is from a pre-journey experience. When and where can we actually start engaging with the potential visitor or the user? From that point onwards, that includes the digital platforms that the user will probably be browsing in, whether it's a website, Google Maps, or whatsoever,
Would
just
it
to
be
find
the app,
information.
the next
Exactly.
You know, I once sat with Fariz and we had a discussion about what it is like to design a wayfinding strategy. And it has a lot of psychology involved. Like, it's really interesting. It's not just, oh yeah, put a sign here because, like the space feels empty. And it really is so much beyond that. And navigation is just but a very small portion of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it works both ways. Smart wayfinding today, other than benefiting the users, it also benefits the developers or the property facility management team, because with digital connection or interactivity enabled with the user, it helps you to get information, how to operate or run your services better. It also helps you to enhance some of the probably weaker areas of your development, whether it's a retail space, and all this information will not be made available if you depend on static wayfinding. But then the smart layer that's introduced into that experience it should benefit both, I would say, users. One would be the visitors or the users navigating and finding their destinations, and of course the developer to help improve their services.
Yeah. And another thing to remember is that we kind of get stuck on the one dimension of it. So whether it's the customer experience, but it's passenger experience, patient experience, visitor experience. And there is an overlap between all of these, but each one has a slightly different driver, right? So I remember talking to a hospital, and we're talking about like anxiety at hospitals. It's a very different type of anxiety that you have if you're trying to run around to get your Christmas shopping done.
Right. Or you're trying to catch your flight, for example, and you have no idea where to go. So I think, honestly, the disillusion that I really want to focus on today is just the fact that smart navigation, let's call it navigation for this context, is just about like, oh, put AR and then it becomes smart. Like, no, smart is about having data and being able to use the data, again, for enhancing your visitor experience, your patient experience, your passenger experience, and for enhancing your operations as well. So this is, I think, the main, like the key takeaway is really to focus on data.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because what we see also is the misconception, like Farah was saying earlier, is that when you say smart wayfinding, the first impression that we always see that people react to is that, oh, I'll get a digital touch screen and that's smart wayfinding. No, but that's not. Or will I have an app that allows me to navigate? Well, Google Maps is already doing that, but that's not really smart wayfinding. So there's a lot of touch points that goes beyond the navigation function of it that we always consider. And overall, the outcome or the key objective is to make sure that we deliver the best user experience to find a destination in all platforms.
Yeah. So when we talk about smart, you've covered, some kind of some ideas of what, smart means to different people. I'm having lots of conversations with people who are getting very ambitious. We're in a region where people, do want to think outside the box. They want to be the first to introduce certain solutions.
Yeah.
There's lots of kind of buzzwords that have been floating around across various industries, whether it's AI, metaverse, AR. We see tenders coming in where they're like, we want AR, but that's it. It just says in the tender, like, we want AI, we want metaverse. Okay, so there is a story of wayfinding using metaverse. Well, on the metaverse or integrated with metaverse. AR, there is a space for it.
Yeah.
Is it happening? Is this real, or is it just a pipe dream? Farah?
Honestly, AR
you have to make it happen from my perspective.
It's the bane of my existence, honestly, because like as you said, we see it coming in a lot of tenders. We have a lot of, our customers asking for AR and thinking that, AR is the next step, right? And that's like the main innovation in terms of smart wayfinding. And to be honest, like AR, yes, Google was doing, for example, AR quite a long time back, but it was only ever meant as an aid to help you orient yourself in places where GPS coverage is not that good. For example, in like a city where you have like really tall buildings, skyscrapers, and you're in the middle. And even Google is starting to disemphasize, like the AR part. It's taking a step back. It's not,
it's not
developing. It's not investing. They're not developing their own hardware anymore. So even Google realizes that the trade-off between the CX and the actual technology is just not worth it. It's so power hungry. It kills your battery, and I don't think that our customers really understand that it's not really something that's so necessary. Like, yes, it does have that wow effect, but in terms of advancement and technology, I would much rather look at agentic AI, for example, rather than augmented reality, where, you use it once and you go like, oh yeah, super cool. You probably don't use it again.
Yeah.
And what is the investment versus the actual experience for something like AR? Because I know, having worked on it, and then it kind of like falls to the wayside in the actual delivered
100%.
product. It's quite time consuming and resource heavy.
And it's incredibly difficult to maintain because, any change that you do in the environment, any banner that goes up or goes down, you're going to probably have to rescan. So it's a constant effort, especially in, let's say, a retail environment. It's a constant effort to try and keep it up. So yeah, it's definitely on the wasteful side of things. It doesn't really, for me, at least my opinion, it's not, the trade-off is just not there.
It's what it's like to have rather than a need to have for the actual overall experience.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. And from my part of the industry, what I'm happy to see is that we have huge developers that actually understands the key importance of having a smart team, because you can list in a tender that I want to have a nice wish list. I want the bells and whistles of wayfinding. I want people to be able to navigate using all these digital platforms and what have you. But without the proper smart team who's experienced enough with the technology and what they can do, and then set up the infrastructure that's needed to make it work.
Yeah.
So this is something that we are seeing a good improvement in the industry, where huge property developers or master plan developers and organizations that take this seriously, and when they put together a smart team to work on a project with us, and we can actually provide them a clear vision of what that can look like in terms of the overall experience, going beyond wayfinding, including marketing, advertising, and all the other touch points that covers the whole experience. It becomes a very very good, engaging project that we work with. And this is something that we're quite excited to see in the coming years, how it's going to unfold. And there's going to be a lot of shift from the traditional experience to digital. And in digital platform, also, it starts from home and not when you arrive on site. So
100%.
that's going to be, really game changer.
So continuing from that, I guess for both of you, there might be an overlap, or it might be different in terms of stakeholders and people involved in this. So, we've got the big five consultants working on these large giga projects. They're coming up with visions. You've then already mentioned you've got marketing experience, smart teams. You then have ourselves, actually delivering the projects. But, who are the stakeholders that are involved, and where are you finding the gaps in knowledge, right? Because we find ourselves even being a little bit further down from where you're conceptualizing this. There are knowledge gaps.
Yeah.
And what are those knowledge gaps, and how is that impacting delivery of projects?
I think the knowledge gap is mainly on the technology itself, because you see and you read a lot in the news about AI, augmented reality, but how does it work? How can it actually work for your development? What is needed to make it work? How do you maybe optimize the full experience by making sure that all the products or the devices or the hardware that you implement and the software is going to be able to work seamlessly to deliver that experience? So that's one of the big gaps, because they don't actually, wayfinding is a unique discipline in its own, and if you look at the industry overall, you've got architects, you've got engineers, you've got IT experts, but they don't do wayfinding. So the technology, like what Farah brings into the industry, is something that she's specialized in. But on the client side or the stakeholder side, will there be someone as experienced and knowledgeable as Farah? That's not going to be possible, because she's hands-on into the development of the software and how it could work, how it can function for the user. Whereas for the client, it's like, I want this to work, but I don't know how to make it work. Yeah.
And this is something that I think Fariz and his team have been working really hard on, which is just, first of all, making sure that they're always in the loop in terms of the technology that's out there. They try to really understand the technology, its limitations, and what's coming up in the pipeline for it. And they're trying to relay that knowledge to the clients, because let's face it, I mean, I don't know how many times I've received tenders that feel to me like a Frankenstein tender from like specs taken from this technology and that technology, and this is what we want.
Together.
Yeah, but that's a technology that does not exist, And I think, as Ferry said, like,
and throwing in as many buzzwords as possible.
Exactly. So you end up thinking, okay, there isn't a single technology that can literally do all of this. You need like a consortium of like 10 different solutions to be able to do this.
The more you're integrating, the more complex the project gets, the more clunky it can become.
Exactly.
The longer the delivery time is on it. And this is what we try to explain as well. It's like, all of this on paper is achievable. We can do anything on paper, but do you have enough time? Do you have enough resources?
And budget.
Lastly, integration does cost money.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing about how we are trying to push the boundaries of technology and utilizing different products, different solutions to put them together to make it work together seamlessly. But at the same time, it's a challenging task, because some of these products are not compatible. So if you want to achieve something, you would have to work around it or custom design, custom build the software. And so that's where the expertise working with people like Farah itself, it helps us a lot, because they can actually look at the framework of the idea that we have and see how they can make it happen. Whereas if you go, let's say, out in the market and try to buy an off-the-shelf product, it limits you to this is all it can do. There's no not much customization or doing a little bit beyond what you want to achieve is going to be possible.
That's why I thought it was important to have conversations like this, so
100%.
that the various other stakeholders, the customers, they understand who to go to, what needs to be done, where the gaps are. Yeah. So we're in the Middle East. Temperatures are soaring up to 50
Scorching,
degrees.
yeah,
Exactly.
scorching high.
So I want to talk a little bit about the agentic part of the solution, the agentic AI, where that sits with this in terms of where the journey begins and, kind of having that predictive element to it. And also comfort mapping. So the shortest route isn't always the most
best route,
comfortable. If it's going to be 2 minutes outdoors and 50 degrees, is just because it's the shortest, is that better than taking a longer route? So perhaps you can talk a little bit about that and what's happening in that space from a consulting perspective. Like, how do you map all those routes? How do you prioritize them? Is that driven by you? Is it driven by science? Is it driven by the customer? And then how does the technology support that?
So for development, the infrastructure, the foundation of the wayfinding system needs to be in place. Those static physical signs. Now, the flexibility comes into the digital platform where during different time of the year, where the weather is harsh or hot, you can actually take advantage of the AI or digital platform to give you other options in getting to your destination in a more comfortable route. So what we do is having the foundation in place with all the static and physical signs, we also look at different access points and where are the best ways to guide people. And of course, the traditional sign will always be there, or the static signs will always be there to guide you if something goes wrong with your digital device or something doesn't work. But then again, the alternative, the flexibility when they start using the digital navigation, this is where the AI can actually benefit or help a lot to the user, for the user to benefit in the sense that it can predict or it can tell you what's a real-time situation like. In some of the projects that we work on, it's actually dealing with a massive volume of human traffic, seasonal during certain times of the year. And that is really important because if you're there, you need to know what's the most comfortable way to get there and how can I get there with probably the easiest mode of transport, and especially if you're coming with an elderly or people of determination. So this is where AI can actually support in making decisions, giving you options before you even start your journey.
I think agentic AI is really, a buzzword, right? Everyone is using it, but I don't think there's really an in-depth understanding of what agentic AI actually is. In Jitex, I swear to you, I kid you not, a matcha, like what you drink, and it said agentic AI, and I was like, how?
You can drink it.
So I think if I want to summarize it in a really simple way, it's not just about, for example, in wayfinding, it's not just about knowing where you are, it's about understanding really where you are. So it's about giving you that extra help based on the knowledge it has of where you are located, right? It's about telling you, hey, I understand you're here, and the Starbucks is just around the corner, or it's on the way to your gate, or whatever context that you're in. It's really about understanding that context.
The intuitive.
Exactly.
Part of it.
Understanding it, predicting it, depending on what you want to integrate it with and how you want the people flow, as Ferry said, to be. You can even get to a point where it tells you, okay, the lifts are, super full. It's not a good time to take the lift route. You have to take the stairs.
Integration with people counting, heat maps,
100%.
understanding that the security gate at the north part of the terminal is a little bit more congested. Go around an extra minute.
100%. Even if it will take you 2 more minutes to arrive, in the grander scheme of things, it's saving you 10 minutes. Exactly. As you said, we are in the Middle East, the temperatures are really hot, and
it's not a walkable city.
It's
either.
not.
So when we talk about pedestrian cities and everything being within 500 meters or something.
Yeah,
that's my next question to you. Actually,
that's not the case
achievable? For us. But sorry, Farah.
So I think Dubai, for example, where we are, is definitely not a walkable city, and I know that the government is doing a lot to turn it into a walkable city in the next few years. But you can't walk from, let's say, city walk to JBR, right? You have to take a car. But within Dubai, there are these micro cities or micro communities, let's say, where you do have, you know, like the walkable aspect. So if you're living in Marina or in JBR, yes, you're able to walk to your destination if it's in the same area.
Services within that, because there are lots of developments where there is a shuttle service or there's, you know, buggies, etc. And I guess that comes back to you in terms of the integration. So, you know, in these kind of in these walkable communities, how are you integrating with public services?
Yeah, and let's take an example, the Marina community. So in the Marina community, you could walk, you could, of course, take a bus, and you can take the Abra. So that's the water taxi, right? And sometimes it makes more sense to take the water taxi than it is, to go across the Marina than to walk. So we can integrate with, you know, like their scheduled times, because you can't book a seat. So we can integrate and tell you, hey, the next, you know, like ferries leaving in 15 minutes, you need like 5 minutes to get there. This is the kind of stuff that we're able to do now through simple integration with public transport. Metros, for example, even Uber, actually, we can integrate with that as well. I don't know, what do you think about, you know, micro cities and how Dubai is?
Yeah, that's interesting because
you've got initiatives coming from top down in terms of these, you know, walkable cities, pedestrianizing them, and there's a lot of developments. How is that actually translating in how you're creating these communities?
Yeah, this is really interesting because I come from Singapore, which is a very walkable, pedestrian-friendly city.
But very humid.
Very humid as well. And the weather condition, it can rain in the morning really heavily, and it can be sunny in the afternoon. So how the country deals with it is that you create a lot of walking connection paths, under shelters, underground connections to help you back then, when you don't have digital to help you to find your way or alternative routes or what's the best, shortest route to get out of the rain and cross the road, for example, right? So even if you look at what we're doing with the digital wayfinding or smart wayfinding today, it is useful for cities in Asia or any country where the weather condition can be also not very friendly.
Volatile.
So going to the Middle East, this is where, of course, heat is one of the major reasons people will try not to walk too far. Within, 4 to 8 minutes maximum, and depending on the temperature that day and how humid it is. Putting shelters is not going to be enough. You need to be in an air-conditioned environment in order to feel comfortable, right?
And Qatar's done that quite nicely. Qatar, you know, got these outdoor AC walkways.
So how can this help is actually by planning your journey, giving you options, by predicting, you know, what's the weather going to be like for today, getting sources of information out there to help you make a decision or plan your day a lot more efficiently. And this is where I think the wayfinding should be part of it, because you get options of, do you want to take a bus, you want to take an Uber and drop off to the nearest point so that you just have a minute walk into shelter or air-conditioned environment in the Middle East. So this is similar in many other cities as well. You can apply the same theory or principles, and that's, I think, how we can really do a lot more with smart wayfinding integration.
Yeah. And where I really see the future of this and where I feel that it's having the most impact is when we look at inclusivity. And we look at the multi-sensory experience, right? Because we've spoken mostly about screens here so far, like it would be, you know, the static signage, the analog way. Then we're talking about interactive digital kiosks to get you from A to B. We're looking at screens with the blue dot navigation. But perhaps you can both speak about the work that you're doing around the multi-sensory experience for people of determination, both the seen and unseen disabilities.
So just to preface this a little bit, I think that unfortunately, in the Arab world or community, there hasn't really been a lot of emphasis and focus on people with disabilities. When you go to, let's say, North America or to Europe, there's a lot more effort into, you know, make sure that inclusivity is actually there for everybody. So right now we're seeing a big shift, especially within the GCC countries.
huge initiatives by the
In
government
the
to
UAE,
catch
in
up
Saudi.
and actually get ahead.
100%, 100%. And it's something that we're definitely working on. And this is something that I think not a lot of people realize. I recently saw a blind person using a phone, and even seeing that was such a different experience from like how
jarring.
and that's just something so normal, like using a phone. So their lives are really, really different to ours. So we are providing wayfinding, especially for the blind, the complete blind, people with visual impairment, people with, even when we talk about the unseen disabilities, even people with orientation disabilities, people on the spectrum, people with cognitive disabilities. So we're really trying to create, different formats of the digital wayfinding, catering for each and every single disability.
Using those different mediums for
Exactly.
the experience, right?
Exactly.
So having a profile-based experience.
Exactly. Using sound, using haptics.
Yeah.
So
Directional sound
100%.
in public spaces.
Exactly.
And so how does that story start, in terms of when you're designing these spaces and the profiles of the visitors? Because it's changing. We've spoken about the profiles in terms of, the different types of visitors and passengers and patients, etc. But what about the profiles?
Yeah, so for visitors or users profile, one of our key profile that we look at are people with disabilities, and we want to be inclusive in the solutions that we offer. So whether people with visual impairment, hearing impairment, people who needs to use wheelchair because they're injured from an accident or something like that, they're all considered in our user experience.
The elderly.
Exactly, the elderly.
Children.
Children.
They have
Yeah.
different needs, right?
100. Yes,
Exactly.
of course.
What we are trying to shift the mindset from the client is that having Braille on the sign is not going to do the job anymore. In
How
the
do they know
past.
where to go to?
That is so
to get
true.
the
Yeah,
guide?
that is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're glad to see is that it is shifting. We can see that with the latest release of the smart wearables, where you have smart glasses with audio cues and audio guidances, heads-up display, that helps a lot for the people with impairments. And also when you look at the digital platforms or apps, wayfinding tools that we create, it gives them options. So for today, maybe you're on a wheelchair because you had an accident, so you don't really need the wheelchair in other times, so you can easily walk to your destination. But because of you not being familiar, being on a wheelchair, this will be your first time experience, right? So what do I do? Because I'm new to this, and how do I park to the nearest lift, for example? And that's where digital smart wayfinding can help you identify spaces that you should be able to find parking nearest to the lift
Faster,
lobby.
more convenient.
Yeah, take the lift and go by the RAM access routes.
Preempt all of this.
Exactly, yeah. So because people who are born with those impairments, they would have some sort of training over the years to get themselves familiarized with built environments. But there are people, it happens and that's changing their life, and how do we help them?
So, Farah, you did mention that how traditionally this region hasn't been the most progressive, but they're really playing catch up here.
Yeah.
And I think they've got some incredible initiatives, and having whole departments, people of determination.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at this region, like what is happening on the ground in terms of initiatives and places and communities?
I'll give you an example. So as you said, the UAE is very good at, being a trendsetter and being really leading in this kind of stuff. So in Abu Dhabi, for example, they had an entire award, which is the Damj Award, that was focused on, finding which companies have been the best at implementing initiatives for people of determination. So there's a lot of our customers, of our clients, are designing complete experiences around specifically people of determination. We've had, for example, the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi. A lot goes into designing, a museum experience, and they're doing it twice because they're doing an entire, experience for the people of determination. As Faris said, it's
wow.
not enough to just slap on some bra and call it a day, right? It's about how you're really experiencing the museum as a blind person, for example. So I think really in the region, there's so much emphasis being put on this at the moment. And I'm so happy to see so many of our customers requesting specifically for this kind of technology.
Yeah, and also multi-language. You know, this
Yeah,
region
yeah.
is home to the most diverse community in terms of languages. So another part of inclusivity is language, and I know that
Yeah.
that's been around for a while, and the digital definitely complements that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's where the smart wearables is really helping a lot of people, whether they are not visually
The live
impaired or
translation.
Live translation,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, so with the airports that you have today, it can do a live translation as well. But the smart wearables, like the glasses that's been launched recently, they actually do a direct translation while you're looking at someone speaking in their own native language. And that's really interesting because it helps because you probably don't need to ask another person a question about directions in the future, because with your smart wearables you can also question AI.
Yeah.
How do I get to another place from here? And they can
Where's the
really-
prayer room? How do I
Yeah,
get to gate number
yeah.
17?
Exactly.
This
and
is
all
like
of those.
sci-fi, right? Like what we used to
Yes.
see in movies and thought is so far-fetched. Now
It's
it's like
happening.
actually, yeah, it's happening, and
Yeah.
it's. I wouldn't say it's in the next year or two, but it's definitely happening down the line for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think the especially the Middle East region, because there's a lot of new projects. They are setting the infrastructure to accommodate that to be future ready. And of course, with all these new devices, new hardwares, new softwares being introduced into the market, it helps to elevate, or if not push, the technology to even much more useful to the humans. And of course, with AI today, I think you would think that AI is only going to be useful if you ask for information. But with predictive AI, now they can even tell you real time what's happening and help you make decisions in advance before you even do anything.
Yeah.
And what other variables? Because we've spoken about the glasses. What about things like the ring, the watch? How is that fitting into wayfinding?
It helps a lot, especially not just for people of determination, but for anyone. And you can actually get real time information delivered to you while you're navigating or even while you're driving. Heads up display has been around for many years now in cars, and now it's introduced into glasses. So whether it's a vehicular journey or a pedestrian walking journey, the whole experience can be seamless. So imagine you are not depending on your heads up display on your glasses, but you have in your car and you get guided to your parking spot. The seamless connection between your car to your smart wearables, your glasses, can happen. And that program could be easily interfaced into your smart wearables, and then you continue your journey as soon as you step out of your car with your heads-up display on your glasses, guiding you to your destination seamlessly, right? Same goes if you enter a lift, everything stays connected, because one of the challenges in a built environment is connection. And that's where I think Farah's technology is getting towards in terms of
Fitting that gap.
Exactly. Have you tried the wearables?
I have tried the one with the camera,
Okay.
but I'm
Which one?
actually
Can you say?
the Ray-Ban.
Okay.
How was the experience?
It was wonderful, and I use it for the sports that I do, and it gives
Sports?
you
Oh.
for
Furries is an avid skydiver for whoever
Oh, okay. He's recording my...
didn't know. Yeah.
exactly. So when we also train in the wind tunnel, it's the same. We wear the glasses and you record your moves and how you fly in the wind tunnel, and you can see your friends, of course, how they're flying, and you correct
compare.
and you improve because you're flying together. But at the same time, now with the addition of audio cues and also heads-up display into the glasses, that's something I would like to really try, because I could see that Oakley Ray-Ban Meta glasses they've just launched, and you have gesture control as well, so it gives you information as you're on the move, or you can actually browse for information by speaking to your glasses, and you get audio cues giving you the answers. So
Well, I've
that's
got
really
a full
cool.
sales pitch here.
Yeah.
So when we talk about anything digital, there is so much data,
Yeah.
right? And I know that iPera work on more than just the navigation part,
Right.
because you're working the space of Wi-Fi and data and collecting this type of data. We have just looking at the things relating to wayfinding, whether it's people counting, dwell times, things like that. are the end clients, our end clients, those developers, those hospitals, retailers, are they using that data effectively? And if not, are they working with partners like yourselves to work better with it? Because otherwise, what's the point of this data?
Yeah. Look, I think that currently, obviously, I've seen it in the past few years, there's a big shift towards utilizing this data. Unfortunately, so we do, as you said, we do a lot more than just wayfinding. So we're able to collect data from turning your Wi-Fi essentially into a data collecting machine, being able to reach out to your customers and being able to reach out to targeted, like segmented strata of customers, heat maps, or even asset tracking. So there are so many different things that we're offering, and unfortunately, I know that our clients today want to make use of this data, but sometimes they just don't really know how to.
Yeah.
And I think this is the bridge that we need to be able to support with our customers. So they know that they need to be utilizing the data.
Yeah.
And honestly, this data makes so much sense in terms of when you're talking about operational efficiency, for example. If we're talking about, like in terms of heat maps, seeing what areas are actually being utilized and what areas are not being utilized, loading that information into the BMS, for example, or integrating it with the BMS to build an actual digital twin, which is another buzzword that I've heard, recently in the past few years. So being able to kind of get all of the data from all these different systems, get them to talk to each other so that you can have a full, like, bird's eye view of, your asset, your mini city, or whatever it is. And so that you can take informed and data-driven decisions based on this data.
You spoke about privacy earlier. Another buzzword is still hyper-personalization.
Yes.
When we talk about wayfinding or navigation. What's happening in this space? Because we've been working on projects using facial recognition, NPR reading to create that, seamless experience.
Yeah.
Where do you see the next stage of that?
I think it's going to go to something that is even more exciting and customized to the user profile and user needs. If you look at a lot of us today, we always depend on our smart devices, smartphones in particular, to look for information.
Yeah.
And then that's where your journey begins, right? So for us in wayfinding, that's where your wayfinding starts. And if you're given options in the choices that is out there, to customize, to tailor to your needs and your way of maybe planning your journey, what you want to experience, but everything is out there for you to choose from and make it simple. That's where it becomes useful and effective. And that's where I think it should be going, because what's missing at the moment right now is that if you want to go for a destination, you look for an information in the website and then it stops there. Okay, this is where I want to go. Let's say a concert.
Yeah.
Now, where do I buy the tickets?
Yeah.
And then it gives you a link to buy tickets.
Where do you get the reviews?
The reviews, exactly. And to me, that's not seamless. So how do we offer seamless experiences since we're working on a development, and that development, let's say, has an arena, and that arena is linked to a ticket service where you go to the website and purchase a ticket. So
Ticketmaster.
exactly. So wherever it may be, that's the starting point of your wayfinding experience, and it allows you to purchase your tickets at any point of your interaction with the system, and it takes you all the way to your seat, and it also can guide you to all the other experiences around it, and takes you back to other destinations or to
based on, again, that personalization, what you enjoy.
Yeah.
You always go grab a coffee.
Exactly.
There's a space on the way.
Yeah.
So I'll end on this question because there's been a lot of chatter online about this, and it's about the year of 2026.
Yeah.
Gen Z are moving more towards analog experiences. So you may see this around, how they're investing more of their time, money into experiences. And the predictions are is that next year we're going to see a shift from them being fully immersed from the digital world and to kind of take a step back into more lived experiences.
Yeah.
And I guess that really is a great question for both of you. The analog traditional static signs
Yeah.
and screens? Where do we see the future of how they work together?
Yeah.
And, when is there a space for just the static? I believe there will always be a need for static signs for humans.
For
So perhaps,
sure.
Freeze, you can talk about that. And then Farah, like how are we getting the balance right with digital?
Yeah. So honestly, it's a lot. Like what we have right now, it's a
Overload.
lot. Yeah, overload of like just information and technology, and it's just so overwhelming. So I am not one bit surprised that there's now like, okay, we need to take a step back. So yeah, it's for sure not a surprise. I think that, as you said, static, there's always gonna be a place for static. It's like people kind of like saying, "Oh, AI is gonna replace humans." Like, no, it's not. Like humans will always be there. You need that element. So yeah, it's very similar. And honestly, it's all about, and this is again why people like Fariz are really important, because it matters how you design the entire journey, how you design the entire experience, so that it doesn't feel overwhelming, so that you're getting the exact information that you need at the time that you need them, not like being bombarded all the time by all this additional information, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The way we say it is that static is a must-have, regardless of whichever era or year that you're in, because digital can fail at times. If things go wrong, power failure or things like that, then battery runs out. What do you do? So static is a must-have in any development, any project. What's interesting is that the supplement of digital experience, whether it's smart wayfinding, whether it's other platforms that supports your experience, that will become more and more in use as we go forward. And I don't think, just my opinion, that I don't think that as we progress further, the digital technology hyper-personalization is going to be used less. In fact, I think it's already being used more and more now. And the expectation is, what's next? What can we do more to that little navigation, experience? So that's where we're shifting. And with all these other hardwares, devices that's available in the market, it's not going to go the other way around, where people go into analog mode, because you enjoy comfort, you enjoy convenience, and this is human nature. And you would want the fastest, the best, or if not the easiest way to get to a destination, or you want all the information.
It's human nature, right? If
Exactly.
something to be easier and faster, why not?
Exactly. So with that in mind, what's the best way to support you? Analog is not going to be able to deliver all that in your hand immediately, right? You want instant information. I want it right now. So that's something that only digital can provide.
Yeah.
I think, sorry.
Sorry. I think that, if you see it, let's say from the perspective of, I'll use a hospitality example for this. So if you're saying what makes like a stay really incredible for you at a hotel, for me, it's being, treated with like, oh, I know her, I know what she likes, like she likes to have the preemptiveness, like, oh, I open my eyes and I find, this is of course like imagined scenario, but I find my favorite coffee, like on my bedstand, right? They're able to, understand from my behavior, learn from my behavior, so that they can give me a tailored, like experience. It's not about having a coffee every step that I take. It's about having it exactly when I want it. It's about knowing, hey, Miss Farah, like, I feel like you want to hit the fitness center, and then take me to the fitness center. So this is really the core of what we're doing. It's all about providing the right information at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. I think what's really nice to see is that as the AI and digital world learning more about you and your needs, it is tailoring or customizing to suit your conveniences, your habits, and what you like. And that's how we can take advantage of the digital solutions that is out there, and that's how we can utilize it for our benefits and convenience. It's not to replace someone, but it's mainly to support our daily lifestyle.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I think we can definitely do another one of these midway through the year and see how we're tracking and progress. But make sure you're following these two guys. There's lots of very interesting work that they're both doing. And hopefully you can share some references and stuff. We'll include those in the in the follow-up. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Rhine and Shine. Podcast brought you by Blue Rhine Industries.